All right, Shalom. This is Brother Gabar, the Lions Den Camp, located here in Jacksonville, Florida. And first and foremost, before I hop into this lesson, I'm going to give all praises to the Most High in the true Paleo-Hebrew names and in the Paleo-Hebrew tongue. Yahweh being the name of the Father, and Yahweh Shai being the name of his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ and these other false names. Yahweh Shai being his one true name, man. And with that, I want to say, Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ha Rakah Kodash Ma'amaf. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder as well, Aharawan. And shalom to you brothers and sisters pushing to keeping his truth and faith and sincerity into the end, man. All right. And with that, this is going to be a quick lesson going into cannibalism within famines, and it's funny because today at work, me and one of the brothers, man, we was talking with some of the, our coworkers, and they just came, they was talking about hypothetical situations like, in the time of, famine and, apocalypse, like what, how would you turn to cannibalism? And man, it's crazy because it was what, like six people, man, and maybe 4 or 5 people, and off rip, man, everybody just jumped to how it was just crazy because everybody just jumped to cannibalism. Like they said, if it was nothing else around, that was all that there was, they'll be perfectly fine with that. Resorting to cannibalism, eating of human flesh, man. When according to the scriptures, that's unlawful and that's abominable, man. And it was funny, and it was a lighthearted conversation, but it just showed this mindset, and the spirits on 2/3 of our people, man. Also these other nations, because there was a few Edomites, of course, who said, yeah, man, I'm hopping right on the cannibalism, so on and so forth, man. And and it was talked about in a hypothetical situation, but these type of conditions are truly about to come to this place, America, man. A lack of bread, a lack of food, a lack of meat, to where people will resort to these activities, man. And it has been done throughout history, time and time again, man. So it was being talked about in a joking manner. We laugh and it's lighthearted, but in that day, man, those type of people who say they will indulge in that thing, man, will indulge in that thing, man. When there's nothing else out here, that's something that they're gonna resort to, man. Right, but that's going off according to these scriptures, man. And that's why that hopeful elect are gonna rely on the Lord Yahweh Shai to provide in that day, man. So I just wanted to break this article down because later on in that day I seen a clip of this article on TikTok, and this is from the Russian famine of 1921. And it was just going into how a lot of these people resorted to cannibalism, man, in time of severe famine, like a severe lack of food, a lack of bread, and I just wanted to read this a little bit, and I got a couple of scriptures I would like to get. All right, so again, this is the Russian famine of 1921, and it says, and you see in the first picture right here, this picture is meat vendors, and as you can see on the table is the remnants of human remains that they're selling as meat, as food to the people, man. And it look on the right, it looks like a child that's like charred and smoked or whatever, and in the head and some other body parts, man. And as you read the article, man, it's crazy. So, and again, these are conditions that's coming to this place of America, man. Like famines are coming, and people are going to resort to this means of feeding themselves, man, out of sheer desperation and fear, and lack of faith, All right, but it says, the situation became so desperate that a considerable minority of the starving resorted to cannibalism, right? With the number of cases that were never reported certainly even higher, right? Because it says, according to the historian Orlando Figes, thousands of cases were reported, with the number of cases that were never reported certainly even higher. In Samara, 10 butcher shops were closed for selling human flesh. It was dangerous for children to go out after dark, since there were known to be bands of cannibals and traders who killed them to eat or sell their tender flesh. An inhabitant of a nearby village stated there are several cafeterias in the village, and all of them serve up young children, man. Right? So this is just a case, and this was a 1921. We in 2023 right now, so what? That's roughly, roughly 100 years, give or take a few years. So that's not that long ago, man. And it's been more recent accounts of cannibalism, in these present times. But just this is the one I saw, So I just wanted to pull this one out because this was an extreme case, man. Like, man, I'm talking about parents eating their children, uh, fathers eating their sons, mothers eating their daughters, children being kidnapped and and killed for meat, man, and also people too. But I guess it was just easier to obtain the children, man. But these are the times we coming in, man, and when those famines do hit, man, 2/3 of our people, along with these other nations, man, they will indulge in this activity, man. It was a laughing matter in that sense, because we keeping it light at work, you know what I'm saying? But it's not a laughing matter, and when it's all said and done, because our people really will resort to this, man, you know, because they don't know the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, to have faith in Him that He will provide, man. He will feed us in that day, man. The scriptures say, my servant shall eat, man. You know, but and I'll just zoom in on this picture real quick. And again, these were meat vendors, selling meat to the public. And as you can see on their table, all right, again on the right, it looks like a child, looks like he been barbecued. You got a head and whatever else those pieces are on the table, man. That's human remains that these people were living off of, consuming out of sheer desperation, man, for the lack of bread, for the lack of food, you know. And that those type of conditions are coming to America, man. But it's going to be even worse, And people are going to resort to this. This is not some cannibalism is not a far fetched thing, man. When you put people without the knowledge and wisdom and the faith within Yahweh Shem Yahushua in a desperate situation, man, to where they have no other option, people will resort to this, man. And that just is what it is. All right, and it says come on, right? And then on the next part of the article, it says all of them serve up young children. And second part, this was no exception, right? Figs estimates that a considerable portion of the meat in Soviet factories in Volga area was human flesh. Various gangs specialized in capturing children, murdering them, and selling the human flesh as horse meat or beef, with the buyers happy to have found a source of meat in a situation of extreme shortage and often willing not to ask too many questions, man. Right? Man, so again, in a situation of extreme shortage, man, that's a extreme desperation, man. People resorted to cannibalism, man, eating their children, man, eating their loved ones, eating their neighbors, eating strangers off the street. Whole gangs were formed to the whole purpose of, uh, uh, to indulge in cannibalism, man. And if you watch the show The Walking Dead, man, it's like a show about the apocalypse, and it's a group on there, that and they deceive people into joining a group, and then they they cannibalize them, you know. So man, that spirit is out here, man. It's already in the minds and the hearts of people. So when they put in that desperate situation, those thoughts that's in their minds and their hearts and their spirit are gonna come to fruition, man. To where our people will indulge in these such activities, man. Right? And then this picture here says 6 peasants of uh, Bozuluk and the remains of humans they had eaten during the famine. And the better picture, like, look at that, man. On the ground, that's human remains that these people have been feeding off of, living off of, man. And it's time of famine, it's time of sheer desperation, severe lack of food, lack of bread. So again, this is not some far-fetched thing like, oh, it could never happen. Nah, it has happened, and it's going to continue to happen, as we enter into these times, man, of famine and, civil unrest and times of sheer desperation. All right. And I just got a couple precepts I want to get This first one come out of the book of Matthew, chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, "And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Yahushua HaMashiach, and shall deceive many." All right, and you got that happening as well, man. You know these false camps and these false teachers and leaders, man, claiming to be men and women of the Lord, trying to lead the people, you know, right? But man, they're not sent of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. You know, just deceiving the people, man, keeping our people in sin, keeping our people in that dead state of mind spiritually, man. Right? This is happening, man. And it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." All right, and we hearing of that as well, man. Russia, Ukraine, China. As I'm doing this lesson right now, the bishop just put in the camp group chat article of North Korea, calling for war preparations, man. These other nations are preparing for war. These things are happening. These are end time prophecies, man. All right. But it says, "For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." All right. These things must come to pass because they're prophecies according to the will of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And all these prophecies have an appointed time, right? But the end is not yet, man. All these things have to happen before the end comes. And the end is ultimately America being destroyed by 200 million nuclear missiles, man. Nuclear warheads, I should say. In verse 7, it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." Right? For nation shall rise against nation. Again, you seeing these nations rising up against one another in the means of war. And it's also going to be civil wars, nations, races, of people rising up against one another. Just last week, everybody is talking about that Alabama brawl, where you got all these Jakes, Israelites, and Edomites going at it, man, fighting, chairs being thrown, just chaos, man. And it's gonna be like that, and it's gonna continue to increase in these last days, man. Right? And you're gonna see these things, but the end is not yet. All these things are gonna happen and must happen before the end comes. Right? It says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, extreme food shortages, man. Situations of sheer desperation, man, where people will resort to cannibalism, you know." And again, like I said, it's already in the minds and the hearts of our people, man. Like I told you, the conversation we having at work, man, these people was dead serious. Like dead serious, man. Like, and it is what it is. Like, people are going to resort to that in these last days, man. In these times of sheer desperation, in these times of famine, you will see and hear about cannibalism. All right, and it says, "And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places," man. Pestilence, different diseases and plagues, man. What I believe that was earlier this week as well, man. You seeing all these articles of outbreaks of leprosy, man. Those are, man, biblical plagues and pestilences, man. Coming on the earth, right? And earthquakes in diverse places, man. Those things are happening as well. Earthquakes in diverse places, various different places, man. And it says, "All these are the beginning of sorrows," right? Because hey, that's a means to an end. That's just prophecy playing out. These things happening, but that's just the beginning, man. And that ultimate sorrow is the day of evil. Again, and that day of evil, man, America being destroyed by those 200 million nuclear missiles, man. Right? But when we start seeing these things, you just know that's the beginning of sorrows, man. Like it's the beginning of the end, the beginning of the end of this place, America, aka Babylon, being destroyed, man, by the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right, I'm gonna hop to Second Esdras, chapter 15 and verse 19. All right, and it says, "Come on, Second Esdras 15 and verse 19. It says, A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." right? So it says a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, right? So even going back to the Russian famine of 1921, man. People was consuming their neighbors, man. People they probably walked by and spoke to on a regular basis, before those times, and so on and so forth, man. It was having no pity upon their neighbor, upon their children, upon strangers walking by, you know. No pity, man. Slaying them and consuming their flesh, man. Indulging in cannibalism, you know and also people just having no pity out here again out of sheer desperation, man. They're gonna want what you have, and if you don't have, man, if you don't have food, you don't have supplies, whatever the case may be, hey, they might just want you to consume you, man. Again, out of sheer desperation, man, and a lack of bread, a lack of food. So that's another thing, that somebody that you're gonna have to keep your head on a swivel about, man. Cannibalism, man. Literally, people trying to consume you because there's nothing else around for them to partake in, indulge in, food wise. And it says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword." So people breaking into people's houses, man. Ransacking their houses for goods, supplies, whatever the case may be. And it says, are simply just shelter, a hiding place, And it says, and spoil their goods, right? Taking what you have because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, right? So, hey, people, man, are gonna be have no pity upon each other. Somebody you might, you might see one of your coworkers in that day. Y'all could be cool, man. You know what I'm saying? But you won't be able to trust them in that day, man. Except if they serve the Lord Yahweh Shemi Hashah in true faith and sincerity. you know, or you might want to see one of your friends you was real cool in the world. You might see one of them in that day and they completely bugged out, ready to take what you got or take you, and indulge in that cannibalism, man, and being that cannibalistic spirit, you know, you never know, man. It says because of lack of bread and for great tribulation, you know, because hey, it's going to be a great tribulation out here, man, to the point where people will literally have in their minds they will think they have no other choice but to resort to cannibalism, man, and consuming human flesh, man. Is that if that's not a sign of great tribulation, I don't know what is, you know. And I got one more I want to get. Salaki, where Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9, right? Because like I stated earlier, like these cannibalism is not a far-fetched thing when you considering this has happened throughout history, time and time again, in periods of great tribulation and great desperation, man. So what is it for it to happen in these times, and it's the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun, man. All right, so it says, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, right? And again, famines, extreme famines and food shortages and, cannibalism out of desperation in those situations are things that have been. These things have been throughout history. They have happened throughout history. It says it is that which shall be, right? So in these times as well, man, when all hell break loose in this place, America, Babylon as well, man, these same type of things are gonna happen. People are gonna be driven to that point, man. But again, that hopeful elect are gonna stand firm in their faith within Yahweh Shemi Hashah, man, that the Lord gonna provide for us. We wouldn't even think about consuming no human flesh, man. Lord willing, like it's crazy. It just showed a complete different mindsets and spirits, man. On the hopeful elect versus the 2/3 in this world. And it says, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun, man. So, man, cannibalism is no new thing under the sun. These things have happened time and time throughout history in times of great tribulation and times of great desperation, and famine, lack of bread, lack of food. So it's just, what is it for it to happen in these times, man? And man, just 2/3 of our people, as well as these other nations, man, a lot of them, are going to be in that spirit, man. Again, out of sheer desperation, man, just having nothing else, are seeing nothing else, no other way out. They're gonna resort to these type of abominable acts, man. You know, as they have throughout history. You know, and come on, man. With that, I'm gonna say shalom.